Hey, I'm Turner Vinson, and we made it to Friday, a week of quarantine demos from the yard, and today we're painting the Sapphire Mountains. It's been a fun week of picking different spots right here around my yard to paint. If you haven't seen the other 4 videos, I'll put a link up here. You can check them out. And today being Friday and the last day, I thought we'd go big and do a 36 by 40. And doing a painting this size, I thought it'd be nice to give myself 2 sessions. So actually last night I started this painting, so I'll play that for you first, and then we'll jump to today. So we're trying to go out with a bang on the last day of our demos from the yard. I got a big 36 by 40, and I'm hoping to get a session done today and then a session in tomorrow, which is my day 5, and hopefully we've made some good progress on this 36 by 40. However, right now our subject is in shadow. There's a thin layer of clouds in front of the sun that are kind of coming and going, so hopefully we get enough to reference it, but at least we can get started, and then tomorrow's forecasted full sun, so let's hope for the best. And so the subject that we're going to be painting is doing something that I don't do a whole lot of, and I've done it a few times this week in these demos, but is cropping in all the way just to this little area right here. And since we're going for such a big painting on this, I have switched over to my Beauport easel, and this thing will hold some pretty big canvases. And then just beware if you're using this kind of canvas in an area like this where it's pretty windy. I've put a rock back here. If I didn't have a rock, like I went over to my fire pit and just grabbed a big rock. But when I don't have a big rock, I just put my whole backpack of paints right back there, and it holds this down real nicely. It's gonna be cropped, as I mentioned, pretty much these kind of mountains that have some snow on them are gonna come right up here to the top of the canvas. And then these foothills are gonna come down. There's a patch of trees here, all the way down to the ridge. And actually there's a road up there called Golf Course Road. There's a couple of houses on it. I don't know, I might suggest a house or two. And then kind of a dark, I'll kind of darken this hill here. So that's the composition we're going for. And let's try to get it in there. So as I've been starting with kind of a thin wash to draw with, we'll do the same thing. And I've situated myself, you know, I kind of paint in this stance, and I'm having to look over my shoulder this way to look at my subject. And that's just so that I can get my canvas without the full sun hitting it. You know, if I wanted to set up an umbrella and stuff like that, maybe I could face another way, but this is pretty normal for me, so I don't mind. All right, how high do I want these mountains? And I don't want that highest mountain to hit right in the center. So I'm gonna push it over to the edge a little bit. Something like that. All right, there's the top. I don't know if it's a shadow or what, but at the moment, this kind of jumps up here. It's a nice shape. Right under it is where that kind of bare foothill looking mountain is. And it kind of cuts right there. Right over here, I'm gonna say, is where this patch of trees on the left is. Comes down, there's trees down here, kind of come down and bounce back up. That puts us all the way down to our ridge. Oh, that was pretty good placement, I think. All right, whoops. So while I'm here, I'm just going to start hinting at these different shapes of trees. just kind of sprinkled through here. And when you get about right here, they kind of mass together through here. And it's nice. I'm thinking already that that I'm going to have tomorrow. I'm going to have another session on this. And that's just for the sake of the video. For the sake of making a good painting, I'll come out here as many times as I need. But I'm just thinking, it's nice knowing, okay, I don't have to try to get all of this in there right now. There's a nice little patch of trees here. Skips over. There's kind of a ridge here. There's kind of a scoop of trees in there. I guess if I was left-handed, I wouldn't have to look back like this. And some of these shapes, I'm sure, will shift and change as we go. This is all one. So if this is here, in my mind, at least what I'm looking at, it's going to push this thing, these trees over a little bit. And I'm not trying to necessarily follow it to a T, but as I've mentioned in all these demos this week, I default to liking what's happening out there first. And once I get everything in there, if I need to move some things around or change some things, I don't mind doing that. But first, I'm trying to somewhat mimic nature before I just start saying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where this goes. It doesn't matter where that goes. That's why I'm out here standing there looking at it, is because I like so much of what's going on naturally. All right, step back. So part of me is a little frustrated that I put this here, because I'm thinking that it would have made a nicer composition to have pulled it over here. And, you know, here's a good example of me saying that I'm out here to somewhat mimic nature, but oh yeah, I think that compositionally it works better this way. And really, even pushing that over, I'm looking at it thinking, maybe I should go ahead, bring these trees all the way over, and just shift everything around a little. Which is a little frustrating, but I think that that's going to work nicer, is having the bigger space here, smaller space here, rather than the other way around. And maybe that's just my preference. So let's just go ahead and say this is where we're going to put it. So I'm going to just make a few adjustments. That's going to mean that this side stays low. It's not going to pop back up. And then from over here, this kind of bends. This kind of bends up to it. There's kind of a hump here. A high point right there. And it comes back down. Comes back down. Has another little bump. Something like that. All right, I'm gonna go for the green trees in light. And I'm going to try to mass them in, probably to no surprise to you, very quickly. Very quickly hint at all of these masses of green. So it's a distant green. This is, so on the real timeline, you're watching these videos at different times, but this morning I painted the tree for day 4. So this is the night of day 4, and this is just a mix. This is a mixture from this morning's painting. And I always save it and just glob it up in a pile over here, and I use it a lot. So it's hard for me to tell you exactly what that mixture is. But this is my celestial blue, which is basically cerulean, ultramarine blue, cad yellow light. Immediately I'm thinking this could be somewhat of a nice, there's potential in this. As I look, it's a little too cool. See if maybe some yellow ochre might warm it up enough. And this is where it's a distant color that is in light. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. And I'll say go with that, but then I'll constantly shift it a little bit here and there. And you can tell just subtly there's a shift in value from this group of trees to that group of trees. The group back here shifts just a little bit cooler and a little bit lighter than the group in front of them. But I'm going to take this whole shape. Where does this shape go now? It goes all the way to about here. Block it in. And then I'm going to immediately address that next row. I'm just mixing right back into that same pile. All right, I apologize. You missed another bit due to my lack of an assistant. So I just made this shift. I lightened and cooled off this same color just a little bit to suggest this, and I'm happy with it at the moment. I'm skeptical to go up here because, and even though, I mean, really this is all not a good idea in general, because all of these relationships matter, and I'm not looking at the actual subject I want to be painting. So I'm probably making a mistake even going this far in not knowing what this value and color are going to be, because it's in shadow right now, and I'm hoping it doesn't stay in shadow. So we'll see if it comes back to bite me or not. But let's knock in a few more of these greens and then go for the hillside. Looking at this next hillside right here, and the image, whatever image I've put on screen for you, sorry if it's not really what's going on here, what I'm describing, but the subject I'm looking at is constantly shifting and changing. All right, I'm going to go with that here, and gonna mix up a little variation on this green. It's a little darker and a little more chromatic, but not too much so that it jumps too far forward in my painting. And what I mean by that is that the trees closest to me are very, very chromatic in color, and anything that's in the distance is not going to be near as chromatic. as the trees that are right in front of me. And I want to keep this feeling fairly distant. Okay, I shifted a lot of things around, so I need to just orient myself. The peak is here, comes down. This is here. I'm just going to make a hillside there. And this group of trees, I believe, will be right here. A couple of trees on the hillside, coming down to a group down there. I'm thinking that this line here is a little higher than I want it to be. Let's see if we can just drop it down a little bit. Maybe these trees end up being a little higher. The sun is just trying to touch the top of our mountain, which gives me hope. We're gonna get a bigger brush and just mass in a lot of this green. And there's not a whole lot of variation in that green, so I think I can mix a big pile of it, block a lot of it in, and then make some subtle shifts. There's a couple of highlights, there's a couple of points that are a little lighter. So I've got a big 16 rosemary filbert, and I think it'll make some nice progress. So I'm mixing that white straight into what I had going on. It's a little warmer. Mixing my orange and a little yellow ochre into it. Let's see what it would look like. I want that warmer. It feels a little too cool. Maybe put a little bit of my Madder Lake, my red, into it. Yeah, I think that'll be nice in a couple areas. Let's see, let's just get this. I'm gonna thin it down just for the sake of making some quick progress. And again, I'm not painting to a finish today, which I've been doing in other demos, because I'm painting with the plan that I'm going to be back on this tomorrow. Let's see, I'm going to shift it a little darker. Too dark. Step back. Yeah, it's coming together. And this area here, it's that ridge with some houses on it. I'm gonna make it a little warmer and a little darker right along that base. More as almost like a vignette. It's just just so that your eye doesn't just go right off the bottom of the page. Let's see, let's just get something in there, thinning it down a little bit. I'm gonna come with lighter warmth right at the edge. Even though I'm planning on another session tomorrow, I want to get as much as I can done of this kind of foundation so that tomorrow when we come back, it feels like, it feels like it's the beginning of a nice painting. So I think we're headed there. Okay, this patch right here, I just made it stop for some reason, and it definitely doesn't do that. So I'm looking at just finding a compatible color there. Can bring that over. I'm gonna grab just a soft brush. This is a synthetic rosemary filbert, a much softer brush, and I'm gonna use it just to mass in some of these, just to cover the canvas. Just get some of these canvas holes covered up. And if you do this, I think that you just have to be careful not to be too kind of careful. Sometimes I think that you get a brush out to start kind of like you get your fan brush out and you start just kind of doing like trying to cover up every little bit. And I think when you do stuff like that, you kind of lose the integrity. You lose like the kind of the meat that your painting was standing on. It can happen. So at least it happens to me sometimes if I start trying to get too careful, and think, okay, I don't want to see any white. I like this kind of immediacy in the reactions that I try to get in my paintings. All right, my mountain in light, I'll show you real quick. There it is in all its glory. And of course we're cropping all the way down just to that one spot. Let's look at the top of the mountain real quick. Some of those darks that are around the snow. Oh yeah, that is what we're looking for right there. I'm so glad we got to see it. I'm gonna go with a warm, it's just subtly there, a bunch of white. I'm gonna warm it up just a little bit, and then we're just putting this thing on there. And the next thing we're gonna do is go for the sky. Because the sky is gonna be what allows this to read. Let me get this in there, and we're gonna jump over to it. While I'm in the neighborhood, just hint at some of these things coming down. Oh gosh, it's so pretty. And I can't tell you what it is like for me to be able to live here It's just, I couldn't ask. We're spoiled. We're spoiled is the truth. Okay, we gotta jump to the sky. I love the darkness of the sky. It's wonderful. So I want to make sure I keep it dark like that. It's not blue. It's I'm gonna push it into kind of purple. This is my cobalt violet deep, some ultramarine blue. It's a little dark, and I don't like it that chromatic. I'm gonna gray it off just a little bit. I'm gonna lighten it a little bit, and we're just going for it. And I'm gonna thin some of this down. A little touch into my ultramarine blue. And you know, I get a lot of students, and I get a lot of feedback from people who like kind of that action and that motion in a painting, but feel a little too like they can't get that kind of motion in their paintings. And there's one way to do it, and it should just absolutely go for it. There's no reason that you can't change any mistakes that you make. Just don't be afraid to do it, if that's what you like in a painting. I'm standing back, I like that, but it does, in real life, it gradates up, which is the opposite of what happens if there was no clouds in the sky. It would probably gradate down and be lighter at the bottom. But because it's kind of cloudy, I'm like out of breath, it gradates up. Let me grab some more white. See if we can get it a little lighter in some of these areas. This is the piece that holds your canvas on with these Beauport easels. And a lot of people use these easels and even paint small canvases, because these little pegs, they move around. You can paint a small canvas. I like that. I think it's going in the right direction. Now, if I feel that way tomorrow, will be a miracle. I'm squinting and looking at this, and it doesn't have the sense of light in it. It has the sense of kind of the idea of the mountain and kind of this dispersed trees. I think you could kind of guess that it's kind of this Montana scene, but the element of light, time of day, is nowhere to be found. And so I want to try to make no mistake about this being hit with light. All these little ridges, it seems like there's kind of a lighter value along kind of some of these folds in the landscape. And I'm going to use kind of some of the subtle references I can see to just put some of this warmth. And I'm just going to quickly just kind of bounce around, trying to clean up a few things that I kind of want to prioritize for this session. And I'm not exactly sure what those are, other than I'm going to kind of go into the zone and try try to get some more work done on this. So turn some music on. I'm going to stop talking for just a minute and try to really make a little progress. There's a ridge that pokes through there. These reach further out and kind of have a nice little dip to them over here. It's subtle, and I've exaggerated it too much. I want to darken this more. I think it will probably have a gradation like it's kind of coming into light, which could be really nice. And wouldn't at all be untrue. This area is like that. In shadow 1 second, in light another. All right, and I'm gonna look at some of these areas going for a darker hillside color. I think that could work. It's gotta be lighter than my trees. I think I can stand to put a little bit darker values in here. Some cool and dark blues. Let's find out. It's nice. It's a nice color. Let's see if it'll make sense. Kind of separating that hillside there, I think can be helpful. Just looking up here at where the light meets. Step back. Get rid of that. And we'll address the rest of that tomorrow. Comes down and then it kind of jets up this way. Something like that. And there's this other row of trees here. I don't like that angle coming back. So let's get rid of it for now. But for now, I'm going to call this a session, and I'm happy with the progress. I'm squinting as I look at it, and hopefully tomorrow we've got nice weather, and we'll really put some more work on this thing. And this is the kind of light you dream of. Okay, and now it's hitting our subject, and I ain't gonna stand around watching while it shows off some spectacular stuff. Let's see if we can grab something. It's the warmth. I don't have the warmth. You know what? I'm just going palette knife. Palette knife is not. Okay, no time to talk. Screw the palette knife. I hate using palette knife. Okay, orange. I want it chromatic. It's just kind of, it's hitting here and there. See if I can hit a few of these tones of orange. By the way, when it goes into the trees, it's this really rusty, orangish, gosh, it's not going to be there very long. Let's see. Man, I can't quite tell. It's not dark enough. And then those shadows have gone really, really cool, much cooler. We're gonna go with that for now. Just skip it across in a few places, see what happens. This is a really difficult time to paint. It shifts so quickly, which is why I'm thinking now how amazing that I'm doing this in the yard. I can come back to this subject as many times as I need, and then it's on the top of the mountain, and the top of the mountain's just not going light enough. All this paint I can use again. I'm just going to put it right here. Grab my white. Come on. There's the shadows in there are gonna really, I think I said that earlier, but the coolness of the shadows in here is what's gonna make that read, I believe. It's here, there's some here, there's a whole section in shadow here. Oh gosh, it's just, if I am ever able to grab the beauty that's happening right there in a painting, I will probably just stop painting because, my goodness. I just stepped back and probably saw a little bit more of a view that you guys are seeing, and I can see that there's some crazy things happening in it. But that's the price we pay when we just go for it. But I think there's also some things happening that will be nice and useful, hopefully. just kind of some pretty wet, dark, that I'm just gonna pop around through here. That mountain isn't so much pointy. It kind of rounds itself off up there. I like that. This just went crazy. We'll address it. We'll have to just leave it for now. Man. This hill is so warm over here. Hints in there. Stepping back, yeah, we went a little crazy in some areas, but I think we're starting to hint at a few things, and that's good. All right, before I ruin it, let's just stop. Just put the brush down. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. All right, it's day 2 now. We're on our second session on this painting. And last night I actually took it in and hung it above the couch. And so I looked at it last night, I looked at it all day today, and I'm certainly ready to put some more work into this thing. So there's certainly a lot of things for us to work on today. Of course, there's some shapes that can be refined and corrected, but the biggest thing this painting is lacking is just the sense of light. It feels like it was painted on a gray day, with the exception of some of the warm tones that we put in there right at the end, which are more confusing than them feeling like light hitting the land. Other than that, it feels like it's painted on a gray day. And I think the issue is exactly what I was hoping wouldn't happen. And I said at the beginning of the video, I hope this doesn't come back to bite me. And what I think happened is starting the painting without the lighting that I wanted. Starting the painting without the top being lit and kind of the bottom part of the bottom half being lit, and trying to just start the painting, I think that really threw us off from the beginning. So it's not like all is terrible. I think that there's enough that we can pull this thing together, at least further along in this session. I'm not necessarily trying to finish this thing. I'd love to be able to take my time, come out here a bunch of times, but for the sake of the video, we'll try to get as much done as we can. All right, so let's start with this line up here. And to get this drawing, I'm just gonna go with a dark value and get the line, get the contour in there that I want. All right. Move it up to here or so. And I will do my best to continue chatting away as I paint this session, but it might be a little more difficult than it has been in other sessions. Let's shave a little off the top mountain and see if that helps any. And then over here, I think is equally, has the same problem, that it dropped down too much, because this kind of comes down and it kind of spreads down that way. And then there's a long grade. And somewhere over here it dips just a hair. Yeah, I think that helps. And then just with some light value, kind of this snow, I'm gonna make sure I bring this line up so we make those corrections. And then this snow does reach into the trees just a little bit, but it still has a dark. You can see that there's still a dark kind of running up the other side of it. And you can tell some of this is already, it's not dry, but it stayed in, a warm house overnight. So it got just a little bit of that tacky texture to it, and I'm all right with that. I step back, and that blue that's in there that I just put there is just grabbing my attention. Though I'm certain that's about to all change. So I'll do the same for some of this light value over here. Just make sure I have it don't just leave that dark line. Just looking at the darks that are there and kind of this contour that's in there. Though I'm not seeing the light that we want, this contour that I'm hinting at was suggesting the shadows that we'll see as the sun goes down. Didn't necessarily want that there. And this angle that I've put this is, I think it's too harsh. It's too harsh of an angle. That angle's a little more gentle. And so we're gonna make sure we have our trees kind of blocked in well, and then we're gonna pop this ridge with light. It is happening right now, but it's not quite what it will be. But that's one of the things I feel like I can go ahead and suggest right now. What I'm a little hesitant to start suggesting is, this type of color in here, which I'm just so close to scraping it off. But I'm resisting at the moment. We might scrape it off in a second, but we're at least gonna leave it for a little bit longer. All right, so I'm gonna go with a darker value. Gonna go for a nice punch of warm light. And I'm gonna want to vary that. I don't want it to be Even as I look over there, it seems like there's just a few areas of even lighter. And we'll get with a little more, a darker value. Because this hillside, like we've talked about, is kind of coming down and towards us, and we'll give it some variety. There are these kind of the top of some trees in here, but I don't think I'm gonna bother. I think I'm just gonna leave it kind of this suggestion. And then right between those two colors, those two values, I'm mixing kind of a more purplish tone. I'll lighten that up just a little bit. It's kind of like right at the edge of the shadow. And then I'm thinking maybe it kind of divides, maybe it's a little more prominent on this side. And this is more just trying to find something interesting in that area. I'm going to leave that a little bit, maybe just bring it over to the edge. Leave that a little bit there. And then there's the trees. The trees that are in front of the pine trees. But it's a lighter value and they're being hit with light. So I'm going to put those in right here. And I'm going to go with kind of a grayish, warm value. That's too light, I believe. So I'm going to darken it with some of my warmer colors, my umber, burnt umber, and let's go darker. Darkening it with some blue and some of my red. Let's try that. So this is just, I think it can go just a little lighter. Yeah. I mean, it's so far away. I wish I could kind of like be in a helicopter and just go a little closer, view it from a closer distance. And right around these trees, just push in some darker tones. And looking at these trees, I'm thinking they can go darker and cooler. You know, and the way I like to paint is if something is a little wrong or even a lot wrong, you know, I don't necessarily try to cover up all of what was there. I think that I kind of like that as just part of the process. It just kind of flows out. Some things are right, some things are wrong, and hopefully at the end of the painting you're able to find something that holds together but is pleasing and interesting. And sometimes that's a hunt. Sometimes you have to find that, and that's something that I enjoy about painting. Just looking at some of these tree lined and just make sure it feels varied. This is, I'm doing that very cautiously because I feel like that's all going to shift. And you know, something that's hard about painting this time of day is that it comes and it's there for, you might get 30 minutes and then it's gone. Okay, I want to find these tree shapes again. So this comes down further. We were suggesting it there. All the way to here. Make sure that shape doesn't break up too much. Then you can see a subtle shadow, at least right now. And then there's just trees sprinkled through here. Ridge here comes down. These trees are in here, around this area. Just a couple of kind of dispersed trees. We're making it over. So my spacing is all off, and I have to decide tree here. That means there's going to be a tree here, which is right above this, which is fairly right. And then that patch is just a little bit above, so that this should be kind of divided. There is kind of a ridge that runs through here. Group of trees. Yeah, these kind of connect over. This group right here in the middle is just kind of not placed well. I think it's fairly in the right position, but it's kind of right in the middle. And I think actually what might help it is to get some of these others that are, because right now it feels isolated, and when I look over there, there's more trees on this hillside, and that might help them not feel so isolated. Let's see. This is pretty much all together. Lots of trees, lots of trees. And all those group of trees have some dark shadows in them. I'm just going into my phthalo blue and mixing right into this dirty color that I already had, and just squinting and just kind of dabbing in a few areas, see if we can just draw a few dark shapes in there. And these trees actually have shadows jetting up. See if we can suggest a few. I can kind of highlight a few of them, draw your attention to a few of them more than others, and maybe they help convince you that there's light coming that way. I'm warming up some of these to a warmer temperature. I don't want to go too crazy with it because it is still a long ways away. I'm just having trouble with it feeling warm enough. Like I was saying, it felt like it was a cloudy day, and these warmer notes are going to help a lot. Looking over there, this is all the same value on my painting, but when I look over there right now, this is a little darker, this is a little lighter. So I'm going to push this section a little darker. Maybe not quite that dark, and I still want it to be warm enough. And then maybe this up here, just a little lighter and warm as well. See how that feels. I'm squinting, and some of these edges are just a little too harsh. So even though they may disappear, I don't know yet. I just want to soften some of them, just so they're a little more subtle. All right, I'm still waiting just a little bit on the sun to get lower. It's just almost there. And just kind of unite some of this. And then that warmth I have in there on some of those trees, just give it to a few in here. I don't like the pattern of darks that I've put right around there. There's some kind of areas I think I can put this dark up here and then even lighten it up, make it a little greener. That's right where we were at. And then warm that up still right up there at the top. But it's still, I'm getting too light, I can tell. Getting too light. There's a little bit of the warmth. a little too dark. It's very back and forth for me. And I'll look for something kind of similar but cool. A little too dark. Looking for something that's right around the same value. I'm squinting, comparing those values. Having something warm and then something cool right next to it. And this is where yesterday that area was really hit by those last moments of warmth. And there were I said something kind of like a rusty orange color. Hint at that, stand back. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna drag a little bit of that over here. And I'm not going to be able to stop and get a shot for you guys at every time the sun is shifting, but this area here is shifting into a shadow, and I want to. It's kind of a ridge, and the sun's hitting this ridge and then casting a shadow right behind it. That is too much. That's what phthalo blue will do to you if you use too much of it. Do you want to take it a little darker? Kind of comes down and then it has a ridge. Some stuff in front of it, just kind of breaking it. Something like that. As I'm squinting and seeing all of these orange strokes, I think that hopefully we get that sun we're looking for. And these notes we made yesterday might be helpful, but I'm gonna just blend them in a little bit to their surroundings. It's just they're catching my eye so much right now. I think they're too light is probably the problem. And in much worse news, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes. Why? Go away. All right, we're starting to get some shadows up there, and I think they can go a little darker than what we had. Let's see here. So this, yeah, that shadow's in the right area, that shadowy color. Comes all the way down. I'm gonna get kind of some wet. And I'm sorry, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to talk a whole lot right here. Just trying to study what's happening. Whoops. Just a few varieties in there, and there's actually there's actually kind of a ridge being hit in there, which is nice. Going for some pretty warm. Going into my cad orange. Right back here feels pretty warm. Okay, I'm just gonna focus up here where I can see some of the stuff that's happening, and this area starts to have, it has some nice contour to it, and some shadows are coming in. And it's that blue that's really, it's not much different than in value. It's pretty close to what's happening around it. So let's see if we can get some of that play in value, similar values. Okay, so there's a section up here of it. It's going a little darker. And then it comes down a ridge. It kind of pokes back behind this. Comes around. Something kind of like that. And then what's in light, it's too light. Just say it's there. Just kind of hinting. Just hinting. It needs some refining, but I kind of like that. We're just going to obscure that shape a little bit. I don't think this was kind of referencing a shadow there yesterday. Okay, and I'm squinting, looking at this is too, I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna mix a new color. Just mix a new color, looking at what's happening out there right now. It's a little more red. I think this could be very nice in some areas. Let's just put it in here, kind of dance it down. This hillside seems to be catching a lot of light, and it's pretty warm. There. Kind of pull it up over this. I think that'll be nice once we put our trees back on it. And then warming it up still, this area just really seems to have some saturation on it. The front of this is just a little darker. Some of these warm kind of lighter spots. Lighten that up just a little bit. And then these trees that are on that we hinted at, I want to give them a little more of a pop. Right in here. It's too much. Let's be pretty big, fat strokes. It's kind of like an element, an interest. Let's see what we can get away with there. Step back. Step back, step back, step back. Yeah, this, I think when I'm squinting, I'm really coming up to this area a lot. So I'm gonna try to just come right back over a little bit of that saturation. And up here at the top, it's actually going much later light than kind of what we have going, but it's turning kind of more pinkish. I don't have time to throw the camera over there, but let's see if we can hint at a it's pink, but I have it too pink. I'm going to try to push it back towards orange, some yellow. Let's just put a few. I have no clue why everyone's yelling. Like, it's people in different areas too. There's people over there yelling. There's people over there yelling. I don't know what they're doing, Birdie. All right, and then it just needs some more areas of shadow. The shadows are growing out there. And that shadow we just worked on has totally shifted. And I'm just glancing over and making a decision to go with it. And I have this kind of pressure to try to make this have some nice elements, you know, for the stupid sake of the video, but really I'm excited about this as a painting. And I think that it'll be a nice one to continue on. So watch my Facebook and Instagram for the final thing when that day comes. Try to grab some of these warmer trees. Cut out a hand. Man, this is such a beautiful time of day. And as I'm just bouncing around this painting, I just want to say I hope everyone has enjoyed these demos. It was, I've wanted to take a week and see if I could post every day. You know, you see these YouTubers that do this every day, and I have no clue how they do that. That is a lot of work. It's not so much the painting. Doing a painting a day it's not hard, but the editing and all that. But I've enjoyed it, and seems like some other folks have enjoyed watching these. So I plan on doing more of these, not necessarily a week a week at a time, but just demo paintings, demo videos. So I'd love for you to leave some feedback, leave a comment, let me know what you thought about these, and of course subscribe to my channel. Come follow me on social media. My website's got some work on it. My website doesn't have my latest work. My latest work is typically just on social media, and then as I kind of build more work, I update my website. And I think the last thing I want to do, which I just have shifted so many times, is this bottom edge. I just still want some darker stuff happening. And I think that as I continue to work on this painting, I have a feeling that this bottom area is going to be a little bit problematic. I'm going to have to decide to maybe bring some trees up over this or something. It just, having that band there is not so much a good idea. And it might be that I end up kind of breaking it, like it kind of comes down you know, it comes down or has some more contour to it. I don't know. That's just kind of an idea. The final shifts for this session. And our forecast is looking amazing here. So hopefully I get some good time to keep working on this. In a painting this size, I love to let it dry and really come back into it and take my time, not feel hurried at all. So I'm standing back, I'm squinting, and I am much, much happier with where it's at. So I'm definitely excited to keep going on this thing. Oh man. Well, that concludes our week of quarantine demos from the yard. I'm really glad I made myself do this and paint views that I'm looking at every day. And I definitely want to keep going on these. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel. Hope to see you around. Follow me on social media and whatnot. And see you guys in the next video.